everyone.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here.
Good morning.
Hi, Angela. Angela, I was thinking about you last night and thinking if I didn't see you today, I would send you a message. Sure, everything's okay. All righty. Waiting on a couple more here. Mindy, Allison.
Nope, there we are. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Afternoon for some of you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi,
Hey.
Gina.
Hi.
Hi, Karen, Allison, Andrea, Mercedes, Kim, Michelle, Patsy, everyone's here. Liz Etter, I don't think is going to be here. Who else is missing? Seventeen, 18. Okay, I'm recording and I'm going to go ahead and start. How is everyone after a week off?
Good.
Good.
Does everyone like having a week off?
Very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone was busy. I noticed a lot of paintings going up into Flickr. I got sick this week when I returned from my trip and I just haven't gotten to all of them. I know there's a few of you who have posted and I haven't commented on yet. Jim, Mercedes, Teresa, and I will do that this weekend. I will catch up this weekend on the few remaining ones, but I am seeing everyone's work and I'm noticing all of you interacting, which is great. I think it's really beneficial to have that sharing. So I'll catch up on our October folder this weekend. We will be meeting on Tuesday. It's optional, but on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We'll use this same Zoom link and I'll remind you all Monday. I'll send out a reminder. If you can make it, we'll just join here and just chat and I'll ask questions. I'll answer any questions and we can look at Flickr together if you'd like. Talk about paintings that have been posted and anything else you have a question about. It's kind of a free forum on Tuesday at 10. And then we'll have 2 Fridays left after that. Good morning, Moya. Here comes Moya. So Moya, I'm reminding everyone we'll meet on Tuesday informally here at 10 a.m. If anybody wants to join, we'll use this same Zoom link and I'll send it out to everyone and we'll just meet and chat and talk about what we've done so far, what people have posted, just kind of a free for all. I love seeing you all's work. I really appreciate you posting because I can see everyone's, first of all, I can see everyone's individual styles. It's becoming clear to me like what type of painting that you all individually like to do. And that's been really fun. And then seeing, and so many of you are very generous with sharing techniques and tutorials. I think that's really helpful as well. And some of you, I would like to take a class from. I really like watching you all evolve. So any questions? We have time today. I'm going to talk about composition a little bit. I sent you all a handout and it's just one more thing to add. I actually sent several handouts on composition and it's something to add to your toolbox to develop an awareness of as you're creating paintings. I'm going to talk about line today. We're going to do some line drawing exercises. So if you have some scrap paper or a sketchbook nearby and something to write or draw with, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Whatever a pen, a pencil, crayons. We're gonna make lines. I see people getting up. Yeah, go grab some things to make lines with. Pencil's fine, pen, marker, crayon. We're gonna spend some time playing. And then I'll launch into a more focused assignment for the week ahead, incorporating line. So we won't paint today in class.
Right.
Unless you're really, really fast, like some of you are, and you whip out an amazing sketch and you want to start painting, go right ahead. Okay, any burning questions before we move into today's lesson? Or things that can't wait until Tuesday? All right. So again, on Tuesday when we meet, I don't mind pulling up Flickr so we can talk about what people are posting. And going forward, start posting your work in the November folder. We're now in November. All the assignments now, let's put them in November. Even if they're a past assignment, let's go by the date you're creating. So if you're creating something from this day forward, even if it's a past assignment, pop it into November. So we're only looking at that going forward. Okay, so I sent you all some composition handouts and I'll switch to my desktop here so y'all can see. I sent several out and they're all just different variations. Some have extra design, composition and formats, but basically composition is the way in which elements are arranged on a page. And this one is the simplest. And I really like this. Kathleen Conover, her name got chopped off, but Kathleen Conover is a painter who shared this in a class over a decade ago. And I think it's just so straightforward. And there are, again, more compositional choices than this. This is a hand-drawn one that Judy Morris created, which is a lot of fun and has some additional compositional frameworks. Undecided, see that? Yeah, remember we talked about the rules are made to be broken. So not everything fits into a box. Here's other, but yeah, Judy's handout is pretty cool. And composition is huge. You know, we can talk a lot about different types of composition. I think today I'm just going to touch on it lightly and ask you all to start developing an eye for composition. And it would be fun if you want to take one of these handouts and have it in front of you while you look through our class paintings. For example, trying like Allison's humpback whales, you know, her purple, the mama and baby purple humpback whales on the bands of blue. Bingo, right? Vertical. She had those amazing shards of blue water, blue-green water, and then the purple whales cutting into it. Jim, I didn't comment. You did a nice landscape, and landscapes are nicely portrayed, usually along a diagonal where you recede into a horizon line or an S, and also horizontal. Some of you have really expressed your ideas in a more radiating fashion. And then icon. Jania had an amazing hummingbird, just the single, I think it was a hummingbird. Correct me if I'm wrong, not the one on the bird feeder, but the single bird was very iconic, where you have one strong element as the focal point of the painting. So again, let's build an awareness of composition and start incorporating a knowledge of it when you create your paintings. It is best to have a plan for a painting, to sketch something out so that you can check that you do have a strong composition before you start putting it on watercolor paper and painting it. Any questions about these handouts? I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at them. Cantilever on this one is kind of an unusual one. It's usually where it's usually a juxtaposition where there are shapes hanging off of other shapes. It can seem a little off balance. I used a black marker to create these examples in these empty boxes. You can see some of them I wasn't sure. I was trying to do constellation, but I think it's more like a grid. I'm not really sure. But anyway, you can play with these. High horizon and low horizon are fun. You want to avoid having a horizon right down the middle. So if you're doing a landscape, aim for the top 2/3 or the lower third for your division lines. I would say meandering and grid are probably a lot of what our past week's assignment was. You know, the urns or the vases divided up into triangular or rectangular and circles. I think they were grid-like for sure, and meandering. Again, use these to look at paintings and train your eye to see composition. Okay, so that's all I'm going to really say about composition today in detail. I want to show you, so we've been looking at the elements of design, and this handout was sent to you all earlier in this class session. These elements of design are the tools, and then composition would be how we arrange our elements. So I'm definitely shape and color. I don't care so much about form. I like line, but I weigh heavily on interesting shapes and color. Some of you are really excelling at form. You're really mastering the technique of shading and shadowing and creating that roundness and realism. I've seen some of you really play with texture. It's wonderful. And value. All of these things I'm seeing you all practice with. So today I'm going to push out of my comfort zone of shape and color, and we're going to focus on line. We're going to play with line, and we're going to relax a little bit and try to train. Well, for me, I'm kind of training my brain to think about line, because what I end up gravitating towards is shape. So when you make lines, they do create shapes. They can create shapes. So what we're going to do first is just go down to the very basic raw element of line. And we're going to practice making some lines. I'm going to give you all some prompts. And I'm going to get out a big piece of paper here. I'm going to make a line sampler. And you can use whatever you want to draw these lines. I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use a crayon because it's going to show up really well. And also, when I use a crayon, I think I feel more spontaneous and loose because it's kind of childlike and playful. Having trouble deciding what color crayon today. I'm going to use, darn it. Choices. None of them are feeling right. Let's go with, I'm going to go with a brown crayon. So I'm going to give, let's do a line sampler. We're just going to make lines from left to right or right to left if you're left-handed. We're going to use our dominant hand to start out. I'm going to give you a prompt, and we're going to make a line that embodies that feeling or that prompt. So I'll give you an example first. We're going to do, okay, let's do an angry line. Okay, so I'll do it first. Angry. All right, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to think and feel about angry. And then I'm going to make a line. Right? That's all you have to do. That's angry. And you can write the word angry or not. Okay, so everyone go ahead and make an angry line. And if it's really fun to do this, make another one. Angry, angry, angry. We're going to experience expressive line making. Have a lot of paper. Angry is harder to do with a pen, but you could still get some angriness out. With a pencil, you can still be angry.
It's therapy.
Give you a minute and then we'll move on to the next one. Got to do a red angry. That feels really good. Okay, let's go on. We're going to do 3 or 4 of these. So the next one, I need more paper. Let's do lyrical or calm. Lyrical, calm, serene. So tap into those feelings and do lyrical. How does lyrical feel to you? Maybe it doesn't feel like being in a line. Maybe it needs to flow all over the place. Lyrical.
Elizabeth, maybe you might want to put everyone on mute. I'm hearing a little bit of background.
Sure, Teresa, thanks. I'm wondering, it might have been the noise here, my street noise. Traffic out on the wet road. I'm gonna do this again. Lyrical, calm, serene. I'm gonna do it one more time. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do confused. Confused. Maybe the confused line isn't a continuous line, just a possibility. Maybe if you're confused, it's just a little bit of everything. What does confused feel like to you? There's no right or wrong, just be confused. Which is pretty easy for me these days. So this is just a fun way to loosen up and be playful and kind of be more expressive, which is going to segue into my next type of drawing. Being expressive is important in painting. It makes your work you and unique and stand out. And it's more personal and different. Stand out's the wrong word, but being expressive makes your work unique and can be more of a reflection of you. And expressive line is what I'm going to talk about next. This is what we just did, kind of expressive line based on our feelings, emotions. Expressive color is also important. I'm not going to talk about expressive color today. I might touch on it, but expressive color would be also like expressive line. It's your own, and it might not be what is expected. So an expressive color would be painting a fruit still life with very maybe exaggerated colors, or colors that might not even be super realistic, like making a pear like a neon green and an orange, a zingy orange, and letting go of achieving realism in color. Expressive color, some artists have really had, there are some artists I really enjoy studying for their expressive use of color in landscapes. That's an area I would like to explore further in my future path as an artist, because landscapes to me, I think the reason I'm not drawn to them is because the color isn't vivid and exciting enough. It can be. In my mindset though, I think of landscape painting as greens and browns, very traditional, earthy, natural paintings. And I like to use all colors. So expressive color in landscapes is really, really fun to look at. You know, like Richard Degenkorn did a lot of really cool landscape, more like aerial view, somewhat aerial view landscape studies with vivid greens and purples and oranges and little pink. And then Gabrielle Munter is a I think she was involved with Kandinsky at one point. If anybody knows, I need to review my notes. But anyway, she lived back in the turn of the century in France, and she painted landscapes and used purple for her sky and vivid fluorescent greens for the grasses and pink for the barns, and just Gabrielle Munter, Munter. Really, really fun to look at her landscapes for her time, especially. Okay, enough art history. Let's go back to lines. So continue if you have some paper handy. Actually, leave my paper out. I think what I'm going to do today is this coming week, we're going to use expressive line as the foundational design element of our paintings. And I'm going to show you some things. I think for me, it's hard for me not to want to make shapes. I'm like, I want to make it a shape. I want to make it look like something. So it's a challenge for me to do this as well. And I'm going to demo today how I'm going to take a photo, a reference photo, and create a drawing, a line drawing that's an expressive line drawing. And you all can do it along with me if you wish. Again, this is just all practice stuff on scrap paper. We're not doing anything on nice watercolor paper at this time. So the expressive line that I find most fun to do is like a blind contour drawing. So these here, I was looking through my sketchbook online studies. These are views out the window, and it's a continuous line. And granted, I think these would be hard to turn into paintings, but they could be done. It can be done. You can turn something like this into a finished painting. I'm not going to go into that today because this is very unrecognizable, but they're views out the window of plants and buildings. And it's a contour line drawing, and it's blind, meaning I'm not looking at my paper very much. I'm letting my hand kind of respond to what I see, and I'm keeping my eyes out the window or my eyes on my subject matter. So a blind contour drawing is what I'm going to do today. And you all can set up and do this with me if you'd like. All right, I'm going to get everything in full view. If you have a piece of paper, we're going to use this reference photo to create a blind contour drawing with the goal of making this final painting about line. And I'm going to show you in another class that some of y'all were in with me, we did a still life, okay? We did a still life. We were using pen and watercolor. And pen is nice. I'll talk about this for a minute. I draw in pencil and paint. But when you're really wanting to emphasize line work, use a pen. And so this was my first attempt of drawing and trying to emphasize line, which creates shapes. And I used a fine line marker. And when it was finished, I'm like, okay, this is not reading line enough for me. So my second attempt was I used a darker pen so the line would show up more. And you can see the difference in the versions. Let me zoom out a little bit. You can see the difference in the versions. Less line, more line. I just took my pen and I added line work. And I doodled some shapes, but line, 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 line. And you have to continually remind yourself, this painting is about line. I need to add more line. So our shape and color painting from last week, maybe this could be more line oriented. It's possible. I haven't done anything else with this, but I started thinking more about line, breaking up these shapes. Okay, so when you draw a line drawing for your painting, we're going to do a continuous line drawing, a blind contour drawing, and I'm going to demonstrate it. And when I did this, I had a reference photo. This is a Tupperware pitcher, a glass jar, which is clear, scissors, and a piece of coral from the beach. And I actually arranged them and took a picture and used the photo. And I had the photo right here next to my paper. And that's what I'm going to do with this photo. I don't know what made me think of this today, probably fall, but it's just pumpkins. I'm seeing a lot of shape, right? I think that's why I took the photo. I liked the shape, the color, the arrangement, but I'm going to use it to do a line drawing. And I'm going to demo how I do the blind contour line drawing with the goal of turning it into a painting. I think I'll use watercolor paper. because I'm going to demo painting as well. But you can do the drawing along with me on scratch paper. It's a good practice. So pull out a piece of paper, any type of paper, and just have fun doing this drawing exercise. Or just watch me. You might be more comfortable doing that if you haven't done that before. Okay, so blind contour drawing, there are 2 rules. You look mostly at your reference photo. I'm going to give you 3 rules. You look mostly at your reference photo. Your eyes are over here, and your hand and your drawing tool are on the paper, and you're not really watching the outcome. You may be glancing over at it, but mostly you're looking over here. And you're letting your hand, even your arm, respond to what is coming in visually. And you're not going to lift your pen. That's the second rule. Don't lift your pen. And if you want to do it in pencil, fine, go ahead. Pencil's not going to show up on my screen, so I'm going to use pen. And I like going directly to pen because if I use pencil, I'll keep erasing. So if you want to do it in pencil first, that's fine. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Rule 1, eyes on your subject matter, let go of results. Don't take your pen off the paper. So I'm going to determine a starting point, and I think I'm going to start up here with this little orange pumpkin, and I see the stem sticking up, and I realize you can't see this on my screen as well. Let me zoom in a little closer, but it's just a practice, so don't worry about perfection. Draw what you see. Draw what you see. The wonkier and more that it deters from what you want can be better at times, right? So I'll show you. I'm going to start up here, the stem of this pumpkin, and I'm going to kind of just stare at the pumpkin and move my eye around the outlines of the shapes I see. And remember, this isn't supposed to be super realistic. You want it to be representational if you can. And this is a practice. This is not a masterpiece. It is a practice, and it is supposed to be fun. Now I'm looking at my paper a little bit because I do want things to line up. And every opportunity I have to create lines, I'm going to do so. A line for the stem and a line or 2 in here for the ridges of the pumpkin. And just keep that pen rolling along. Maybe I want to go back up here and do some more. Okay, and then I said don't lift the pen. Go back over something and make it look like, yeah. All right, down here, I'm noticing a really long stalk. And I'm hearing the judgment big time. What the heck are you doing, Elizabeth? This is so nuts. And it looks like a kindergartner drew this. And well, just try not to listen to that voice. Okay, where else do I see lines? Maybe down in this pumpkin here. It's got a really interesting stem. I'm noticing the color. I cannot help but notice color. I want to mix that color green. That will come later. I could draw like this all day long. Okay, so now we've got these bee skeps or baskets, and I just drew this pumpkin. So perhaps I'll go over here and draw the skep that's next to it. And kind of cone shape. This is going to be really interesting, right? I see more lines in the woven material. I'm not getting hung up on exactly what they look like. I'm representing these horizontal bands of woven straw. And then there's a little loopy thing up here, like a handle. And then there are little, I picked my pen up. Sometimes you have to cheat a little bit. I don't think I want to fill in all of these vertical marks at this point, so I'm going to stop. Okay. And continue on, reposition my pen and do the second V-step. Looking at the picture, noticing the outline and where it reaches the one I just drew, looping around. And I'm just reminding, yeah, this painting is about line and I'm having fun with it. It's all that matters. And of course, I'm looking at my paper a little bit so that my horizontal lines don't go beyond the edge of the sketch. Okay. Now, I'm going to pick up my pen and take a breath. I think if I try to add this wire yard ornament thing, it's going to get complicated and it might detract from this. This is where you get to be an artist and make these decisions. Where else do I see line, or how can I create more line interest in this painting? There are some lines here that are steps. So I can see there's one that's coming through here. Y'all probably can't see it, but it's a stair step and you can just do that. You can repeat it. That breaks up the composition a little more. There's one down here. And then there's one down here. Keep them somewhat parallel, right? That's how stairs are. And then what else does this need? You want to break up. It's helpful to break up background spaces that are wide open, because then you don't have to paint them. Painting all this shape one color is not as fun as painting individual shapes. So you can add the door frame. Door frame, one thing at a time. Add one thing, see what happens. Okay, this, I'm not sure I want to add. I'm just not sure about adding this porch railing. Not really sure I want to do that. Or at least not how it is here. but I can break this space up some more. And this is a great time when to point out that using a pencil may have been helpful because there is some foliage here that would be fun to incorporate. So if I had used a pencil, I could put in some overlapping leaf shapes and go back and erase some of the railing, but it's okay. I'm gonna add them. Okay, let's go back. I'm making shapes again, but I want to think about lines. So let me get that line movement going here. Not picking up the pen. Lines that read like leaves, right? And I'm breaking up that background space. Okay. Everyone still with me? Did anyone create a drawing?
Yes,
Right.
I did.
I want to see, I'm going to put you all in gallery. Who created a drawing? Vanessa? Okay. Hold it a little closer, move it closer. Allison. Okay, let me spotlight some of these. Allison, I'm going to spotlight you. Isn't that fun? Did you like doing it?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It was kind of, you let your brain kind of chill out while you were doing it. Earlier I said this is like therapy.
Yeah, it's relaxing. Let's see. So Vanessa, I'm gonna see, let me get yours. So Allison, you've got a fun one. Vanessa, Amy, Patsy, a lot of you. Okay, Vanessa, let me spotlight yours. A little bit of a glare, but there you go. Lots of line. So yours, you could do it again. And I know it's hard because you don't have the photo right there next to you. You're looking at my screen. But if you did it again, let your hand go bigger and fill the page more.
I didn't mean to start out small, but I was doing it, not looking at it, and it ended up being pretty small. And then after that, I kind of was looking because to get all the lines in, I couldn't really.
Yeah, and that makes sense because you're looking at something on a screen and it is smaller. Agnieszka, did you have one you want to show us? There you go. So you did pencil, now you're going back over with pen. I can see the pencil. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I did some pencil and then I
Yeah, you're going back over with pen.
Mhm.
So again, anybody else? Jim, let me spotlight you. There you go.
Like it.
So this is hard. I understand that we don't like doing this, right? Because we want it to look right. Okay, Mindy, I'm going to spotlight you.
Kind of weird.
I love them. They're really fun to look at. They're unusual.
It was fun. Excuse me.
Okay. Who else had one they wanted to share? Amy, let me spotlight you. Okay, pull it closer. You've got a lot of light on yours. There you go. Okay, nice. I see you really letting go. You're really letting go with your lines. and it's free and it's filling the page. Good job. Okay. Anyone else? Karen, let me spotlight you. There you go. And then back up a little bit, pull it away. Yeah. So I love these. Now, anyone else? Liz. Fun.
Always.
Do you like it, Liz? Yeah. I like it too. Anyone else? We got plenty of time here. Gina, did you show yours already?
No,
Spotlight, do you want to show it?
sure.
Okay. Move in a little, there you go. What did you use to draw with?
Graphite pencil.
Okay, that's, yeah. Okay, so this is an exercise. Anybody else want to share? Moya, did you do one? I'm glad that you all tried. Oh, let me see. Let me spotlight you so everybody can see. Line contour drawing. Yep. Okay. Okay, so for the last, so let's talk about how we can create a line painting. Maybe a simpler subject. Allison, did you draw anything? Yeah, Allison, I'm sorry. Oide, did you draw anything? You're smiling. Do you want to share it?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
How about you, Jania?
No, I was just relaxing watching you, Elizabeth.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let me think here. Let's do, okay, let's do a simpler subject. And hopefully I have a picture here. Well, heck, let's see here. That was, so these line contour drawings go really fast. I want you all to do a blind contour drawing that you can turn into a painting. So you can, and you know what, let's back up here. If that is too uncomfortable for you, let's just take a painting that you've already done and make it about line. If you don't want to do the blind contour drawing and paint it, then that's fine. Find something you've already done and transfer it into a mostly line drawing and paint it. So I'm trying to think, I'm looking for examples of things. I'm going to show you all how we could do that. Line is really hard because we want to color in shapes. And line itself, if you do enough, if you have a lot of different types of brushes, And pens, you can make lines, just lines, thick lines, broken lines, and it'll be a very abstract thing. Let me see here. I'm gonna look for something real quick. We've already done. Okay, let's do, I have an idea.
Elizabeth,
Yes,
are you going to show us how you would go about painting this? Because it's
I
very
can do that,
imperfect.
yeah.
Okay,
That
great.
would be a good thing to show you, and then we can think more about subjects. So when I paint something like this, so let's talk about hard and soft edges. So I'm going to use, I drew this on watercolor paper. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would paint this. Now, this type of drawing and painting is kind of like sketchbook style. It's very much like a sketchy sketchbook style of illustration. It's kind of illustration. And Angela, I'm gonna laugh because I know how much you love the Donna Diva. So there was an artist called, oh gosh, I'll share you some of her paintings. When I send the recording, I'll share some of her images with you all. And also on Flickr, in one of our folders from the spring, are some of her paintings where she does a lot of this wonky line drawing and has watercolor. So my approach to this, you know, I could paint it the regular way I paint, which is staying in the lines like a coloring book. It's a habit, and I'm trying to get better about painting in different ways. Like when we painted on Yupo this spring, and also some things I've been doing on my own, trying to break out of that really tight coloring shapes like a coloring book. And what I'm trying to say is, so let me continue to break out of my comfort zone and paint this in a more fluid, loose style. And I will use a lot of water. Because these lines, even though they're dark and very pronounced, this is very loose and fun. And I think I'm going to go easy on I'm going to try to lighten up with the painting as well. So I like this enough to paint it. I like that it fills the page and doesn't have too many big spaces. I'm going to break them up a little more before I start painting. It's reading more like steps now. I'm gonna leave everything how it is. Maybe add another frame here with the intention of breaking up these really big spaces. And again, line, line, lines. I want to showcase the line. I think I probably have enough line. Really getting into the shape making. So I'm just imagining at this point, I'm looking at my paper and see these more rigid, controlled lines. I feel like they're taking away from the organic nature of my original drawing. So I'm gonna stop. I think it's just enough and I'm gonna stop because it's starting to look more controlled. And I want to capture that really light and fun quality of the painting. Okay, so I have this line drawing, I'm gonna paint it. And you could, I'll show, this is a practice I'm just gonna play and let you all watch. And then I'll give you some direction before I leave you hanging. We still have plenty of time. Get some paper towels. Okay, we have line drawing. We need color choices. Primary color palette is always safe. What are my original colors? White, orange, and kind of a neutral in this green. I could go with these original colors. I think I will. Let me see. Let me see. But a limited palette is always a good idea. A safer, easier route. Okay, so I like orange. I like this green thing too. This green color. So let me get some orange. And there's so many times I don't, I make these decisions and they're a framework or a map. And I'm always veering off in a direction that may not be my original intention. And that's one of the tricky things about being creative is getting the bravery, the courage to have confidence in your choices. And a lot of times I make bad choices, but then I learn. So now I'm mixing up these oranges and thinking how much I really like the color orange. I'm seeing the white. And again, I don't have to be realistic to this. Even though that's a cool color, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to put that in my painting. I like the white against the black, white against the dark. So maybe I'll stick with some orange. I need this neutral color. How do we get a neutral? We mix opposites on the wheel. Okay. I intentionally took my neutrals out of this tray. I have raw sienna, burnt umber, all those neutral browns in my other palette. But as a teacher, I've been kind of sticking to mixing my neutrals so I can show people how that's done. So I'm looking at the orangey red side of my color wheel and I'm looking at what's opposite. It's kind of blue-green. If I mix up that opposite color realm, ideally, it should neutralize the orange. Yeah. There we go. Opposites on the wheel. And that's a little on the gray side. Kind of a gray green. Warm it up a little bit. There. So again, I got just 2 puddles of colors, the orangey yellows, the greens. You just saw how I just kind of grabbed colors and mixed them and looked at them with my eye. I'm not going to add any more colors to my puddles right now. I can use what I have to create a range that's going to work in this painting for now. So, and I'm going to keep it loose. I feel like keeping it loose and light, whoops, brushing it clean, is a good match for this loose and light drawing. So, making a mess here. I'm gonna wet the paper. My brush wasn't clean, so I got a nice blob of rose there. I'm gonna wet my pumpkin shape. And then I'm going to drop in a little bit of orange into the wet. I don't want the whole shape to be one color. I really want to have fun with my color. So I'm just dipping into a little more yellow, a little more orange, and I'm leaving some white of the paper showing through. There. There's one pumpkin. And then I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do all my pumpkins orange. Wet the paper, drop in the color. So the line is telling the story and the color is enhancing it. Wet the pumpkin. I want to put more yellow in my mix. I forgot to wet the paper. It's okay though, my paint is really, really watery. Okay, so there's the pumpkins. And then we've got these bee skeps that are a baskety color. Kind of not, I'm not as excited about these. There are these 4 tall beige colored things. What can I do about that? Well, I don't want them to overpower the painting, unless of course there's something interesting about them. This one has the most interesting line work, I think. So maybe I'll start with it first. And I will wet it. I don't want to wet too close to the pumpkin that's still wet. All right. And then I will drop in. I want that really wet because my neutral mix is a little dark. Okay, let me go back to my neutral mix here. And there we go. Oh, too yellow. Maybe that's a good thing though. I think going more yellow is a good thing. Yeah. So here's this yellowish brown. And I'm not going to paint the whole thing. I'm just going to drop in the color places. And maybe I'll put a little of pure yellow in it as well. add some dimension. There. And stop. And I'm gonna let it just dry for a minute. I can go up to this one. Whoop, my brush wasn't completely clean. I got a nice yellow wash, no problem. Give a little tint to that one. And my brush has enough paint in it that it's actually a good color to paint these things, but I want to add some dimensions. So that's when I grab more paint to drop in to the wet paper. Okay. So if you have a limited palette, this is not at all limited anymore because I've got all these puddles of mixtures. There's a glare on it. I'm sorry about that. I think I know what to do. I think yeah, so as I was showing you, I think with this is not at all limited, but the initial choices were the yellows, oranges, and reds that I reached for to create orange.
Elizabeth,
Yeah.
can I ask a question about what exactly a limited palette means? Like I've been trying, you know, just to like pick three paints, 3 pigments for each assignment, you know, so I don't end up with kind of a muddy mess. But
Yeah.
those 3, I mix a lot of different colors. So I guess I was always thinking that limited palette meant you started with a limited number of colors, but you can mix
I think
you
it's
want.
thinking about the root colors initially, and then it becomes more, this is not limited per se anymore because I've mixed. What you're saying is exactly right.
Okay.
It's limited, it's focused is probably a better way of saying it. But it is limited because I'm only using the yellows and the greens, and I mixed the greens to create the brown. Or actually that's not, yeah. Let me back up for a second. I think focused is probably a better word, is to be focused as in limiting yourself to your root colors that you want to use. So you could, like, I think I always think of my limited palette, I always think of the primaries, yellow, red, and blue. And orange and green are secondary colors. So you need your yellows and reds to create the orange. You need your blues, yellows, greens to create your greens. So there's a lot of different colors in there, but the color I'm aiming for, like I made the decision not to put that funky green colored pumpkin in the picture because I really want to stay focused on three main colors. So even though I'm focusing on orange and beige, Within that orange are lots of yellows and reds and whatever I ended up pulling into this. It's still limited. I don't know if that answers your question, does it?
I think so.
Tell me again your example.
So like, say I was going to paint something and I decided I was going to use, just to make it easy, phthalo blue, quinacridone rose, and Hansa yellow medium. And I was
Okay.
only going to use those colors, but I could mix anything I wanted to from them. And I always thought that's what was meant by a limited palette. But now I'm thinking, like if I start throwing cobalt blue in there and then I grab some, some other kind of blue, that's when I start getting into trouble, is when I start mixing too much.
Yeah. So when you start deviating from, think of the root color. So a limited palette, you could use all blues and greens, and that's limited to blue and green. Your root hues are blue and green, but you might have a dozen different blues and a dozen different greens. And I would still say that's limited.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't be too what's the word I'm looking for? Don't be too
I know what you mean. I think anyway.
my brain.
Yeah.
It's don't be too literal with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is limited because the end result on my paper is just a few colors. And how I got them is pretty expansive.
Okay.
Because I use these 3 yellows. I use a little bit of Scarlet Lake, which is an orange. And then I use this corner of my tray for these greens. And what I was being guided by was my color wheel. And I was thinking opposites on the color wheel. I knew I wanted to use the orange side, and I knew I wanted to use, I knew I needed a neutral for these. So I got the neutral by using these and these to create the neutral. So we're not finished with the painting yet. And that's where, like, everything you do impacts the next thing you do. And so I'm at a crossroads here where I've got to decide what the other colors are that I'm going to use. And I think I also want to think about cool and warm colors. So if we look at the photo, there's a lot of warmth in the pumpkins. And then these even have warmth, but the rest is pretty black and white. We have a little bit of green. Do I want to play up this black and white? Do I want to use, I like the photo. I think black and white and orange is very Halloween and fall. Like maybe I can do that. I'm just going to do it since I've already made a mess of this paper. I'm just going to do what I'm seeing, which is really dark and really light. So dark and light. And this is where I'm probably going to introduce, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I know in order to get a really dark color here, mixing the opposites on the wheel is going to give me a neutral, a nice warm honey colored neutral. And I know this from all my color practice. In order to get black, 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 I need to mix green and red. And still it can be, there we go, got it. Don't have a lot of it. So before I start painting all this black area, let me make sure I've got plenty of paint. So that worked. So I just need more of it. So this is red. think it's Quinn Rose. Red and green. So I know that quinacridone rose, alizarin crimson. I know which ones of my reds create a nice dark mix. Phthalo green, red and green make a nice dark mix. Okay, so I've got every color in this mixing area except for blue at this point. Got all the primaries, but the end result is still pretty limited. Okay, I want to see what this looks like. I'm seeing a little purple tint in here, and I just want to check it before I. Oh, it's pretty black. So I don't want to. I'm just gonna careful. My brush is not clean. That's okay. I'm gonna put in some dark around the pumpkins. Use more water on this one. So dirty brush, dirty with the black paint. Okay. And just do one thing at a time and see what happens. Like if I painted this whole thing, I don't think I want the whole thing black like this photo. So do one thing. Here's some black up here in this corner. Add it here. Okay, and then maybe I want to put okay, this is the white railing. Ching, 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 white railing. Not sure yet about this. But, you know, I was pretty clear on the black for the steps from the photo. And now I'm not really looking at the photo anymore, and I'm taking the black into other areas of the picture plane. And I'm not trying to get up to every line. I'm being very loose and sketchy about this. Okay, it's like doing a puzzle. You put in one piece and then you see, okay, what's the next thing that's going to fit? I think I can put black in here. However, it might be nice to first break this up with more green leaves, right? Which is going to be a pain to paint around. But I think what I can also show you is I felt like I wanted to, I like these organic leaf shapes. I want to add some more. Staying in style with the rest of the painting, I can be loose and I don't have to get around and up close exactly. I can go around these shapes. I didn't wet the paper. I could have, but maybe I will. Okay, so now I'm just using my wet brush. I just gave it a quick dip in the water. There. And I'm gonna let it, I need to let this dry. So how many colors do I have in this thing now? 3. You know, I've got the tan, the orange, and the black. I think I'm gonna add green, right, for these leaves. So what do you know next? You know that these probably should be green. And you don't have to paint everything. I like the white railing in the picture, and I think I want to leave it white. And if I do that, I think I want to do it in other areas too, maybe these bands. Anytime you isolate an element and pull attention to it, it can become kind of a bullseye and dry your eye too much. So if you make the decision to leave this white, leave other areas white too. So the way I'm going to finish this out is with one more color. I'm going to use green. I'm going to use green for these leaves. And this is probably going to end up a runny mess because we're almost out of time and I want to answer questions. But my third and final color, which I might which I might deviate a little bit with, is the green. I want to mix up a green. I'm not going to just use the first green I mix. I'm going to mix up some greens. The green in the photo is like an evergreen. It's very dark. Is my job to replicate this photo? Not necessarily. The job is to create something visually pleasing that I like. So I'm going to mix a green that I like. So I'm just using all these colors. That's kind of nice, kind of a fall-like green. I can't tell you what I put into it, but I'm using what's on my palette. And I'm going to paint some green. Put a little bit of this color in each leaf or two. Kind of dance around and be light and sketchy with it. And then I'm going to I'll probably put another green in with it. But while I've got that green out, I think I want to add it to my painting. What would happen if I paint this part of the steps green? Wet the area, drop in the color. And I'm wetting the area and dropping in the color so it's a light application. That way I can decide, do I like it? I kind of do. A bit dark. Grab some water. And go down here. And leaving this white, leaving this white, leaving this white, white. Not sure about this, not sure about this. This is the point at which I will stop, let it dry, let myself think a little bit, and then come back. And I will do something. I still think there's two. I think it needs a little more. It needs a little more, but I'm not sure what. And I'm not going to add any more colors. I'm going to use my existing green mixes and this orange and yellow or black. I'm not going to introduce a new color on this picture plane. I might repeat this color in the stems of the pumpkins. Maybe I'll repeat it up here. again, each time you do something, you kind of have to sit back and take a look before you move forward. And I do know I want a second green in these. So I'm grabbing some of the really yellowy green and plopping it in here next to these. So I actually really like this. I was terrified when I drew it. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's from a photo that I took. So it has personal significance to me. I had a lot of fun doing it. And I'm done, pretty much. I have a little more to do and I'm done. And I don't have to worry about it anymore if I don't want to. It was a fun exercise. And this is where I'm going to stop. And I'm going to check in with you all and then let you go. It's 11:32. Okay, questions?
So our homework is to do a line drawing of a painting or something we like and paint it in like what you've done.
Yeah. Explore line, Vanessa. Any way you explore it is going to be a great exercise. So you can take a painting you've already done and just redo it with a lot of lines. Kind of decorate it with lines. Or you can start scratch and use a photo of something. It can be anything. And just tell yourself lines. This drawing is about lines. One thing at a time. And then once you create the drawing, if you like it, you can paint it. And if you don't, then do another line drawing.
Elizabeth,
Yeah.
did you, when you say line drawing, do you want it to be a blind contour drawing where you're not lifting the pen and you're not looking at the
No,
subject?
you don't have to do that. You can, I like doing that, but you don't have to have it be a continuous line drawing.
Okay.
I presented that because it's easy and fun for me, but you don't have to stick to that requirement.
And then another question, what size brushes were you using?
Oh yeah, that reminds me of another thing I want to talk about. Yeah, so I was using a 12.
Mhm.
A 12 on a, 9 by 12 piece of paper. So it quickly covers. And then for the leaves, this was a little 8. Those are the only two sizes I used, were the 12 and the 8. If you do your line drawing in pencil, that's fine too. And once it dries, once you paint it, you can go over the pencil line with a pen. So Tuesday, we'll meet here if you want. I'll catch up this weekend on comments. I got most of y'all, but there are a few I need to go back to. Anything else? And go small. If this is overwhelming, go small. Make a little small. Make a couple smaller ones. The goal is to try to create something that tells that when the viewer looks at it, they're like, oh, look at all those lines. Isn't that cool? All right, everyone. Thanks so much. I'll see you on Tuesday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa.
You're welcome. Bye.